Sickle cell has inhibited me from not doing a lot of things in my life. I was not able to have a normal life like my peers growing up, and was isolated for many, many years. I thought I was alone in the world.
The pain feels like someone stabbing you from the inside out, but it can vary from a dull knife to a sharp knife.
The pain is crucial, but the mental stress, it's a stress that I can't explain to you.
Sometimes it's so bad that I can't walk, and a lot of times I end up in the hospital about 4 to 6 times a year. I missed my high school graduation because I was sick, and I've pretty much missed every single fun activity that my friends had growing up. So I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It's one of the worst things that someone could ever have.
Michaela's 5 years old, and she's been through a lot. She's been hospitalized over 30 times, and she's had pain crisis in every part of her body. She's, just grown through it and persevered, but at the end of the day, Michaela still is going through pain every single day. For a long time, I couldn't even talk about sickle cell without even crying. I had a lot of resentment, and I was depressed a lot about being a part of the reason why she's feeling this pain. And she's so innocent and so fragile. Having a child that has sickle cell, it just really, it changed my life.
My dream growing up was to be an actress. That was like the #1 thing I wanted to do. I was interviewed by an agent, and she represented several kids that were working and, getting up there. And she offered the contract. She's like, is there anything you want to tell me? Let me know, but the contract is yours. I told her I had sickle cell and never heard from her again. So, that was a big one to deal with.
I've got a business that I'm right now thinking about shutting down because the stress of dealing with the business, just simple employees not coming in. When they don't show up, I'm it. And sometimes I'm going through my situation where I can't even be at work, and having to kind of stop this part of my life and deal with that is too complicated.
Having a career with sickle cell has been one of the more difficult things in my life. Once I started working, if I ended up telling the person interviewing me that I had sickle cell, I wouldn't get the job. So I just learned not to say anything until after they were about to give me a job offer. When I would have an episode, it would knock me out of commission for about 2 weeks. So this means that the 7 sick days you're allotted in a year, I use it with just 1 episode. When I come back to work, I would get a lot of stress and just really nasty comments sometimes from my coworkers, which was really upsetting because on top of being sick and you're missing out on work and you're struggling financially, then you still have this negative energy from your coworkers. I actually got passed up for a promotion because my boss told me, well, we need someone that can be here every day. And since you have sickle cell, you're not here every day. And so he gave the promotion to someone else who was less qualified than me at that time.
I had to stop working 8 years ago because of sickle cell complications. I was told that I could no longer do the career that I love so much, which is I'm a pastry chef. When we decided to have a family, my pregnancy was affected because of sickle cell crises. So my husband felt that basically when I would go into the hospital with a sickle cell crisis, he did not know if we would come out alive, the 3 of us. And that was extremely hard for him to deal with. Someone who had never been sick in his life before, now having to make these hard decisions. What to do. Do I choose my wife or my unborn daughters or one of my unborn daughters? And then it's the financial aspect, going from a 2 family income, very successful income, to not having to deal with 1 income and the cost of having sickle cell disease and the strain that puts on you.
And one time I felt like sickle cell was something that defeated me, but now I feel like it gave me purpose.
For me, I've always said sickle cell has taught me a life of balance, because if you're out of balance in any way, it's going to trigger a pain episode.
I guess you could say I do a little bit of everything. I do public speaking, I do spoken word. I love performing. I don't want my entire life to be centered around just having sickle cell. I want to expand myself as much as possible and really milk life while it's still here.
My dream now is to live a long life and be able to be around for my daughters. I have this vision of walking on the beach with my daughter, and I'm old and I have long, big gray hair, and sickle cell disease is not a factor anymore. My hope is that companies will invest in the patients, the adult patients like myself, because we are living a lot longer and we want to be a part of society, but we need their help. We need them to believe in us, to fight for us.